Hey everybody, real quick before I get started in this week's podcast, you may have noticed if you are subscribed to me on the YouTube channel that there is no video that is accompanied with this particular podcast. The reason is because I'm an idiot when it comes to electronics. Basically, the gist is I started the recording on my camera and forgot that I only had about 1 gig of storage left on my SD card. And so when I was recording, I didn't even pay attention whatsoever to my camera being, stopped recording. So I'm cutting in here before the actual recording of the podcast to let you know that there is no video. Last week there was no audio whatsoever that was usable because it kept cutting in and out. So last week was audio, this week was video. At least we're getting a podcast out this week, so that's a good thing. So without further ado, here's the regular podcast that would have had video, but I kind of forgot it. Hey everybody, this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com and welcome to another episode. It feels good to be back from having last week because I worked so hard to try to figure out what was wrong with the audio last week. So hopefully this week we have no issues whatsoever with the podcast. So thanks guys for kind of checking up on me to see if there was something wrong with the podcast or whatever. So that's why I wanted to put a little announcement out there on Facebook. So if you're not following me on Facebook, that's normally where I post most of the stuff that's going on. Most of the time it's kind of between Twitter and Facebook. So you can go to twitter.com/PictureMonk or facebook.com/PictureMonkPhoto, and that'll take you to those social media aspects, and you can go ahead and follow and like me or whatever, all that stuff there. So just in case you didn't realize what the podcast was, if you follow me on those social media accounts, that you would have found out that I was having some audio issues. So but let's go ahead and get into this week's podcast. This one is sort of the round 2 on the time lapse. I'm not going to hit it hard as far as a lot of the stuff that I talked about because I feel like I sort of explained most of it last week. I was kind of rambling last week to try to get a bunch of points across, and I think I kind of nailed it. So there are a couple little things that I want to touch on, and then I'll kind of move on to another subject next week. Which actually next week I'm very excited about. I already have that one recorded. Because I actually did a sort of it's not really an interview, but it's just a discussion with my father-in-law, who's also big into photography. So it was kind of cool to sit down with him and just kind of talk about photos. So look forward to that next week. But for this week, let's go and get into the news real quick. And the news this week is from TED Talks. So I watch a little bit of TED Talks, not a whole lot. There's a few that I kind of try to follow. I did follow the TED Talk or TED app on the podcast app. Or the podcast that they have, and it was just kind of all random, and I kind of wanted to pick and choose. So, but for this week's this mini news thing, Petapixel put out a article that said 11 TED Talks on photography worth watching, and so I started watching a couple of them, and I was just kind of, the information and the influence and inspiration that's all in these videos, it's amazing. I didn't watch all of them yet. I'm still making my way through them, but it's just tons of awesome stuff and inspiration. You'll mainly come out with a bunch of inspiration after watching them. You'll be thinking of photography a lot different as you're watching all these amazing photographers and marketers and editors and all this kind of stuff talk about their stuff. So just a really cool thing. And so if you go to picturemont.com/PMP047, you can check that out, and you can see the links to there, and it'll take you right to the page with all 11 TED Talks. They're video TED Talks, so you can check them out there. So yeah, that's a really cool thing. Hope you can check it out and get some cool information from it. So the listener question this week is from Rob Tuner, or I think it's Tuner, Tuner. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tuner. I have no idea if that's right. It might have a little squiggly on the end or something. I don't know, but he is from London, England, and so he asked the question. How important is a photography website to show off your photos? I just use Facebook and have a ton of followers, so is that okay? Thanks. For me, it's not okay. That's cool that you have a lot of followers on Facebook that follow your work. But for me, having a little slice of the internet that you can call your own is kind of a cool little thing. That's why I have the PictureMonk.com website, which is kind of just like the blog situation. And then I have my personal website, which is either JordanYachts.com or North Carolina. Or no, not North Carolina, photographynorthcarolina.com. I kind of have both of those URLs there. And so when you go to there, that's my space. That's my area of the internet, even though however small it is, it's something that I can call my own. That's my work. That's my headquarters basically. And, I put all my stuff there that I want to show off. A lot of people say that, to have a website up there and to get traffic is kind of a hit and miss sort of thing. But, and the way you think about it is, yeah, Google needs a lot of time to cache your website, and, it likes old websites. It likes websites that have been up there for a very long time. And so the thinking of you throwing a website up there and you're going to get instant jobs or instant feedback from everybody on the internet, it's not happening. Maybe in like 1998 or something like that, when the internet was like brand new or whatever, that could have been it. But these days there's tons of competition out there. However, I still think it's important to have your own little space on the internet that you can design the way you want to, word the way you want to. You don't have to stick into a custom box that some platform like Facebook will make you stay there. So, I think it's a really important thing to get a website. I personally use Squarespace for my website, and I love it. The only drawback is you have to pay a little extra to have the store option, but there's ways around that are a little bit clunky, but they'll do the job. So I would prefer, Rob, that you get up your website and start adding your photos that way. It's cool that you have the photos or the followers on Facebook, but they can easily just, bookmark your website and check back that way too. And plus, you can have a blog on your website to talk about the photos that you have. And then, when you put them on Facebook, link back to your blog, so you're instantly getting more traffic. And so, it's a thing that I think every photographer needs, or every creative person at least, needs their own little piece of the internet. So, Rob, thank you for your question. That was a really good one, a really good topic to touch on. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and get into the quick little notes on the time lapse part 2 that I was going to bring up. And so I didn't really talk a whole lot about settings last time. Settings when it comes to time lapse, they vary. It's like asking somebody, when you go shoot a wedding, what should your settings be? They're going to be different no matter where you go. Even from shot to shot, they're going to be different. You never know. So when it comes to settings in time lapse, you just kind of got to play with it. I would suggest, if you haven't ever shot a time lapse before, run out on your back porch and just start shooting the sky. Even if it's a cloudy, real cloudy day, which is actually a really good time to shoot a time lapse. You can play and see what the settings are. See how many intervals you need of the photo. See how many seconds you need between each photo to get a cool motion in the photo. One thing that a lot of people will kind of get tripped up on, and this is something that I got tripped up on in the beginning, is whether you have a fast-moving subject or a slow-moving subject, what should you choose? If you have a slow-moving subject, let's say you're walking around downtown and you want to get people walking, on a sidewalk or something. they're not the fastest people in the world. So having maybe having like 4 or 5 seconds in between each photo, you're going to kind of get a good motion that way. If you have 1 second between each photo, it's going to kind of look like a flip book. It's going to be too fluid. You don't want it to be that fluid because it's just going to, it's going to look like a video sped up, and you kind of don't want that. You kind of want a little bit of lag in between, but not much to draw attention that these are just a bunch of photos slammed together. So if you have a fast-moving subject, obviously you want to have a shorter distance or a shorter time in between, and that way you can kind of capture the motion. And especially one of the cooler time lapse things that I've seen was actually somebody driving, and I didn't have the car to do this. My previous vehicle, I didn't have the ability to do this, but now I have a really cool dad van, and so I can actually do this. But the guy set up a tripod in his back seat, and he went out driving at night. You can only see the 2 front seats and the dash, so the dash is all lit up with the cool lights and stuff. And he was driving around, and I think he drove to like Best Buy or something to buy a camera, something like that. But he took a time lapse of the drive, and what he explained is when you're in like a night situation like that with lights and stuff like that, actually having a little bit of lag between your subject, having your subject blur a little bit is actually preferred in that sort of situation. That is because you don't want your night subject to be tack sharp, and then it kind of look like a stagnant time lapse. Having a little bit of blur, a little bit of motion to your subject gives it a little bit more flashiness. That's kind of the way I saw it when I was watching the time lapse. But it's a really cool time lapse. So yeah, settings, you really just got to get out there and play. It's something that, set it and forget it kind of thing. So you can be really antsy when you want to go take a time lapse and just be out there for 5 minutes and go rip the files off of the memory card and assemble them together and just see how they look. But it's going to be like a 1 second time lapse if you do it that way. So yeah, you just got to play with it. It's fun to play with. You're not going to get anything major when you first start out, but it's going to be fun. So that's what I have to say about settings. Because the reason I'm talking about settings specifically is because I'm kind of rolling it into a question that a listener asked me about that, and I think it was a girl. She said, "How do you know what settings to choose?" And basically, you just got to play around. That's just like photography. How do you know what settings to choose? You just got to play around. So accessories, that's kind of another thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned the trigger trap a couple podcasts ago. That's a really good piece of accessories to use. You do need a tripod, obviously. That's a biggie. It's almost a necessity when it comes to stuff like that. GoPros, when you have accessories with the GoPro for time lapse, one guy I was watching how he does his time lapse, and when he does the GoPro time lapse, he doesn't use a case at all or a shell at all. They have the waterproof case, and I think they have what's called the skeleton case. I think it's just the band that goes around the edge. He doesn't use any of that stuff because it can actually alter. The way he explained it was really weird. You can actually alter the viewing of the GoPro. I didn't get it because I've done one with the skeleton time lapse or a skeleton case, and it worked just fine. So, you kind of got to play around with the accessories that you like. Intervalometer, you need one of those. If you get the trigger trap, it does everything for you. So that's, a couple little accessories. You can go so far as getting a motorized rail. I have a slider that I use for video where it just kind of makes a fluid motion from left to right or right to left. And it just kind of, you kind of pan when you do video. Some people have the motorized sliders like that where it automatically, very, very slow, maybe maybe from a full left to right on a 40-inch slider would take 2 hours. And so when the motion of the time lapse, when you have a slider like that, it's a really cool effect. But if you want to put that kind of money into time lapse, then you better be doing it, pretty often and pretty for a pretty price, basically. So that's a couple quick accessories. Again, you just got to play around with what kind of effect you want to get. And the last thing I want to touch about is the projects that you can do. One project that I have kind of on hiatus for like a year now is what I call the Show Your City project. And so, if you live in a bigger city, I don't live in a huge city, but if you live in a city like Chicago or, New York, definitely, San Francisco, stuff like that, you can really make a cool time lapse showing your city. So as you go out and take photos of your city, if you're really big into that sort of thing, getting short time lapse clips, maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds long of your city, showing how everything works, showing the fast motion, the fast pace of everything, and then compiling all of that into a really cool video, and labeling as your city, and tourist places will eat that stuff up. If you're looking for jobs and to get your name out there. There was one done of Washington, D.C., which was really awesome in the United States. I did see one of London. I think there's tons of ones of London. So, Rob, there you go. There's one project for your new photography website. And so, you can really get a cool little video to kind of market yourself. I'm doing one of Greensboro, North Carolina, which is where I live, and it's slow going. I only have like 3 clips. But once I get it compiled, there, I said it right that time. When I get it compiled, I can start throwing it out on social media, hashtagging, City of Greensboro, North Carolina, GSO, all this kind of stuff. And hopefully people will see it and, think of me when they want to do video jobs or any sort of photography or something like that. So it's a cool way to side project to market yourself. So, that's quickly going to wrap up the time lapse section of the podcast. I feel like I was boring everybody last week or the week before on part 1. So I kind of wanted to kind of wrap this up and kind of get to another cool topic. So let's go and get into the widget of the week, and then we'll take this home. So the widget of the week this week was actually recommended by a listener, and I'm going to pull up the name here. I don't know how to say the name. I can already tell you that right offhand. So I'm just going to spell it. So let's go ahead and spell it right now. It is Simcha. Simcha. Gosh, I'm horrible with names. Last name is, I'll just say G for the last name. I don't want to give the whole last name out there. So Simcha G. I'm going to keep trying to pronounce it. They sent me an email saying that they have a wallpaper, basically. It's a wallpaper that's sort of like a time-lapse wallpaper. So it kind of went with the part 1, and it's called Worldview Wallpaper. And so you can find more at worldviewwallpaper.com. I actually have it on my desktop right now. I installed it right when I got the email to see what it was, see how cool it was. And it's actually a really cool concept. The wallpaper updates every minute, and it kind of corresponds with what's going on in that area. So right now I have mine set to New York, and so the picture is I think it's from the Jersey side to New York, and right now it's kind of dark and cloudy on the East Coast of the United States, and so on the picture it's kind of dark and cloudy. Earlier today there was bright sun and everything like that, so there was bright sun there. You can choose to where it will display the time of day using the location you selected or your current location. So that's kind of cool too. So they got all kinds of places: Pittsburgh, PA, Jerusalem, the Caribbean, which is a really cool one. I think that's the one that they said they were helping with, or they, yeah, it says the Caribbean sequence was taken during a cruise we were both on. So I guess they knew somebody with the that worked with the app maybe. But San Francisco's on there, Austin, Texas. Yeah, they got a lot of them on there. So it's really cool to check out. So if you go to picturemonk.com/PMP047, I have a link to that there, or you can just go to worldviewwallpaper.com and you can check out that there. So it's a really cool idea, really cool app, and I really enjoy it. Sometimes I have mine set to New York, and then I switch it to San Francisco just cause, just to do it. So, yeah, go ahead and check that out, and thank you very much, the person, I can't pronounce their name. Thank you very much for recommending that and sending me that email. That was really great. So that's it, guys. Like I said, next week I have a sort of a just discussion between two guys about photography, and that'll be kind of a cool one to throw out there next week. So look for more videos on the YouTube channel and on PictureMonk.com. I have a couple more videos coming out, and a new series. If you guys have followed me on the YouTube channel, you can you saw that I did the PictureMonk method series, which is where I take a photo and just show you exactly how I would normally edit it. But now I have another series coming out that kind of ties a little bit in with that, and it's called the Mimic series. So I'm not going to tell you much about that now. The first video is coming out not next week, but the week after. And so make sure you check that out. It's a really cool series. I'm really excited about it. Trying to record as many videos right now as I can for that. So make sure you subscribe to the PictureMonk YouTube channel. Just go to picturemonk.com/YouTube, and that will direct you there, and you can become a subscriber. Almost have 100 subscribers for YouTube, so very excited about that. I know it's not a really big number to a lot of people, but it's kind of cool to go from 0 to 100. So that's it, guys. I'm stop rambling and let you guys get on with your day. So thanks again for listening, and I really appreciate you guys checking in, and I'll see you guys next week.